I am live and I am live. Hello, Instagram. Hello, YouTube. We'll give a minute here for people to join. I did so good of scheduling an email, so hopefully that will remind people that this is out there. And of course, that it will be in the Reels on Instagram, and it'll be in the video archive on YouTube. So I'm Sarah from Align with Sarah, and this is Let's Talk Tuesday. My piece of wellness is unfolding, the concept of unfolding. And this has come to me from my time sitting with becoming softer with my experiences in life. And I am real excited to talk about all these things that I have made notes about regarding what has already come to me in these first couple of days of really focusing on the unfolding, what it feels like to unfold. So I want to mention more upcoming events that are on the schedule for June. I don't know. Oh, my phone is right there. Shoot. Let me see here. I'm going to click around. I have to look at my calendar. So on the 12th, so next Wednesday, is the group healing session. It has been on Tuesday, and it's going to work better for me to flip that over to Wednesday for a 9 o'clock start. So Wednesday the 12th, 9 a.m. On Instagram and YouTube as well. It's a free deal, 15 minutes, 20 minutes tops, and we just talk about what is on my mind. What comes to me in that moment is usually what guides it. Unfolding is my thought for this month, and we do some energy work. And the concept behind that is that very functional piece of feng shui. If you find yourself involved in it, you are there for a reason. A lot of times people that show up have something that resonates with them. We have, let's see, so that's the 12th. I do have another lunch and learn scheduled for the 26th. And so that is roughly an hour together. And we talk about the topic of unfolding. And I also do a demo. We take questions and answers. It's very interactive because it's a Zoom meeting. It's not a live stream or anything. So keep that in mind. It's $20 to join that. And I had this thought today while I was in the midst of making my notes, actually, about possibly doing videos about questions that people have. Today I was talking to somebody about endometriosis and seeing her eyes like full of hope and happiness and stuff that made sense. And I wish that I had like a lemonade stand sort of thing where people could come up to me and say, like, what does this really mean? Like, what is going on with this? And can you tell me more information about that? That's like my ideal day, is when people ask me and find hope and connections and things make sense, and we can make a plan for getting them back aligned, back on track with being aligned with their health. So I feel like that's coming up. I almost want to have like I don't even know, like a weekly thing that I can send out on the email list. I don't know. So it's coming. If anybody has an idea, please share it. If anybody has a question, please share it. And I can talk about it now, or you can email it and we can talk about it privately. Okay, I forgot about YouTube over here because I clicked away to my my calendar. So that's in the making because I always love more stuff to do, and it feels great. So let's talk Tuesday. That's what we're doing right now. I can't believe it's already June 4th. Time is so amazing. We're just a few weeks away from half of the year being complete. How amazing is that? So thinking about how we want this moment, the rest of the year, the rest of our life to unfold, I welcome you to think about what it feels like to unfold, or what it feels like when we see, like the fast forward picture of like a blossom opening up. Let me see what this says. I once heard a quote, "I will not fold as my life unfolds." And that is, I love that. That was shared over here on Instagram by Christina. And that's such a great thought here too, of the unfolding is us letting go and us trusting and us being in the state of surrender. So there is a time for doing, and there's a place in our heart, in our mind, in our body, in our soul, in our spirit for the doing. But there's also a space in all of those places for the being with the change that we want to happen, being with the discomfort of getting to that place, that unfolding of possibly things in our life going away, things in our life changing drastically, changing suddenly. Growth is not incremental unless we think it has to be. That is Krista Martin, a coach that I worked with, a woman that I really love and admire. She does a six-figure impact academy or something like that. And her big thing that she really pushes is that growth does not have to be incremental. And it really doesn't. And I think we put these steps in place where, like, we have to have X, and then we have to have Y, and then we have to have Z. And the whole purpose of things like our vision boards, our vision of the future, our dreams, is that we ask for the thing at the end. We ask for the experience that everything in my life supports me. And then, I slapped that on my vision board. I feel like I'm never going to stop talking about that story. And then so much in my life started changing. I didn't think about the 1, the 2, the 3, the X, the Y, the Z. It was everything in my life supports me. And I'm not holding on to those things that don't support me. I'm investing in this energy of recognizing I know what it feels like to be unsupported, and I don't want that anymore. And when it feels like that, I'm going to let it go. And then if this energy in my life, this person, this experience, this whatever, is doing whatever they can to invest in me, grabbing back hold of that tug of war, of that, my energy going down the toilet, it's my energy that's going down the toilet. And recognizing that, the more practice I have in not folding and focusing on the unfolding, focusing that what's here, what's blooming, what do I have? Look at all of this energy, escaping that experience of the narcissist. I feel like it's like unprecedented that there was like this magic wand, really, and gone from my life. And now I have all of this energy reinvested, all of this focus that I can have on my family without interruption, and my confidence without being rattled. It would be very difficult to be in that place if I was folding back into my comfort zone, what I know, and my eye on that prize. I'm going to look back up here. Everything in my life supports me. I have that affirmation and a few others available on the website for downloading. It's a little bit complicated to get there because I don't know how to do it any other way, honestly. And if there's anybody out there that wants to help me, then just let me know. But if you click on the thing on the website, it'll take you over ask you to share your email address so you can come join our community. And then an email will come, and this is, I'm so sorry. And then an email will come and it'll give you a link to a hidden web page on the website. When I have the link on the pop-up thing, nobody ever sees it and nobody gets the downloads. There's no clicks on that. So that's the best I can come with up right now. So there's a lot of like click and seek on that, but it is what it is. Hey, stop. My dog's having a hard time. Okay, so unfolding, and thank you so much. That is literally what you're going through. It's a thing, man. Focus on everything in my life supports me. I hope that you have printed them out. If you have not, and if it feels like it's great, checking them out, I can email them to you, Christina, if that's easier, or if there's something else I can do to support you, just let me know, please. So let's see. What does it feel like to unfold? What does it feel like to be blooming or have that moment where, oh my gosh, this worked out so amazing, or to the thing that we want shows up, or you can notice the change in your behavior, in your reaction, in your perception when you notice these things. There's some relief in pain. My favorite thing is working with people with physical pain and using the restorative healing. I feel like there is no experience comparable to having pain go away without anyone touching you. So my furthest away restorative healing session that I've ever done was somebody in India. I don't think it can get much further away from New York. I'm pretty sure it's like the other side of the world. And of course I was not touching her. And we were working on a skin condition that showed up. And on our call together, it was actually changing. Her skin integrity was changing. And it is that shift away from the stress response, the energy that is creating the keyhole for the lock for the key to come in, for that virus to come in, for the bacteria to come in, for that invader to come in and have a place in our body. And there is two interesting concepts. One I haven't read about. One of my friends, Corey, she sent me this thing. It was like, I think 6 months ago now. I don't even know. But it's this concept of how viruses and bacteria and things like that, how they're actually like not real. I don't know. It's kind of a very strange concept, but I like thinking about that. I mean, well, what if it's just our stress response? What if these things are already in our body? What if they just become active? So I don't know. I'm really curious about that. And it's still on my list of stuff to do. But so that's number one interesting thing. And number two interesting thing is a concept for that vibration. So sound healing gets into this, the emotion code and body code and Reiki, chakra alignment gets into this, because it's about changing the vibration of the body. So we have the emotions, they have their own vibration. Those hormones, those are emotions, they have their vibrations, and they affect this positive, hopeful, loving vibration that is supposed to be us. And when they interrupt that, our frequency changes, our overall frequency. And I have my chart at my office. I don't have it here. I'm going to say that it's like vibrating at the frequency of love. So the average of all of the vibes that every atom molecule in my body are putting out there. We're going to say 400. I think it might be 500. Anyway, we'll just pick 400. If that is vibrating at 400, love or above, there is no place for that keyhole to form, for the negative emotions to have a place to enter and get stuck in our system. And the belief system around that love and above is that when we're vibrating at love and above, our frequency, when our vibe is there, we do not have the ability to house sickness in our body. And I think we can imagine that, we might all of a sudden feel better if we look at our scratch off ticket and, we just happen to notice that we're going to win $5,000 every week for the rest of our life. I feel like the backache might go away. I feel like the fatigue might go away. I feel like there might be a lot of things that feel different in the body because all of a sudden we have this excitement taking over or this joy taking over. And I believe there is something to that. I believe when we get into the very low frequencies, depression, guilt, shame, when those very, very low frequencies are with us, we are so susceptible to sickness, to negative emotions, that misery loves company, finding the people that are vibing with us. That's a real thing. So not sure how I got here, but I think we're on track of at least covering something on my notes. But the vibration, the love and above, what does it feel like? I don't know what happened, but okay, we'll get back on track. So what does it feel like when we're having those moments of magic just settle in, the pain just goes away, and we can recognize, how am I going to step back? What am I going to do in my next moment? Am I going to invite in my soup of the day that got me to that moment, all the things that I regularly do, all the thoughts that I have, my routines, my behaviors, my personality, my personal reality that created the struggle that I just feel like lifted away? What do we do? What does that feel like? How do we notice it? And some of the things that I wrote down here is we can have the feeling of just feeling lighter. We can see our shoulders kind of come down just a little bit, or we can just become aware of the tightness and then just say, oh, whoa, whew. That exhale can come. That relief can come. That feeling of easier breath in the chest, in the lungs. We can feel uplifted. We can feel energized. We can feel, you can fill in, more and more of those things. And when we think of that moment where things are unfolding, and as Christina brought up, being aware of folding back in, becoming small again, and noticing that backtrack, noticing what is the emotion that's happening here, what's going on that feels so uncomfortable, or does it feel scary, or do we have just sort of like a low self-esteem thing going on? Noticing the details and not getting, I feel like one thing that is a helpful tool is to know when we're under stress. When we know, a big thing is, I put out there a lot of providing support for anxiety. And people think anxiety is like a person, place, a thing, something to eat, something to live by. It's like this all-defining term, but it's not what's actually happening. Is your mind racing? Is your heart racing? Is your stomach churning? Are you crying? Are you sad? Are you scared? There's a lot more to it than the word anxiety. Anxiety, it doesn't mean anything to me. It means that there's some hormones getting dumped in your system that if I were to take a thermal image of you, it would match up potentially with traditionally what people experience thermally when they experience anxiety. Maybe. That's about all it means to me. So understanding that's not the end all and be all. And I think the other catch-all phrase is stress. I feel so stressed. Well, I don't want you to feel stressed, but I also want to get through that experience of stress. I think it's important to understand what are those pieces? What is that soup of the day that creates the stress? What are the emotions? What's the behavior? Who are the people involved? And what would feel like, or what creates the experience of unfolding? And then we can have these two lists, and then we can compare them. Am I going to add this to my day? Am I going to subtract this from my day? Does it work better to add more things? Does it work better to take some things away? What's the best? We don't have to have one answer. We can be doing both, and we can keep that eye on the prize of, I'm here for unfolding. I'm here to feel calm. I'm here for that feeling in my neck when that stress just goes away, when that tightness just goes away, when that frustration just goes away. I'm here for that. Let me see the pieces of it. And I think when we start to actually look for the creation cycle, then we're so much more further ahead in the control cycle and the understanding cycle and the noticing. Christina, you're like, I wish I can give you a badge for your participation. You're so great. And then when things shift, we are vibing. We have this frequency. We have these different glasses on, or we have those glasses off and no glasses on at all. And we could notice these little things that are so beautiful in our life that we might have just let that frustration, we would just pass it right by. So when we have a clear definition of the good, the bad, the ugly, all of it, we can consciously move forward into our next step with this wisdom. When we say, I still haven't made dinner for my family, and I can step forward with this experience of, I'm really tired. I have a great relationship with my kids. I'm going to communicate with them. They're going to help me with dinner. They're going to help me clean up. We're going to get through the rest of our day because there's still a lot to do from what we set to do. And I can communicate that and still feel like the day is unfolding, even though I do feel a little bit like I'm withering a little bit, but not folding, not giving up, because I'm asking for support and I'm communicating about where I'm at. I'm using my wisdom, knowing tools that work. I'm not going to ask the wrong person to help me with dinner. I'm not going to, what's that expression? When you're holding you can't build a house with just a hammer or a saw or something like that, screwdriver. And you also, when you're holding, or when somebody that's really good at using a hammer, you want to ask them to help you with things that are hammer-like, the things that require a hammer. And then the person that's really good with a saw, you want to ask them to help you with things that require a saw. So moving forward, paying attention in that new way. And here we go. I get to fit in my favorite recipe for personal growth. Noticing, listening, and shifting, where we're taking a moment to recognize what's going on inside of us, around us, and then noticing it and then listening to it in a way where we can move forward and know where we're moving forward to. Let's see. So I wanted to mention one more thing. So defining the stress, defining the anxiety, defining those terms that are those go-to terms. And let's see. And this is a comment about it's been a few years where this has been sort of like realizing to me. And I didn't even have these words, I would even say 6 or 8 months ago. But that going back to that narcissist experience and moving forward, just recognizing, what's contributing to my moment here, and recognizing I can control me. I can't control the people around me, but I can control who the people are that are around me. So I can't control other people, but I can control myself, and I can control who is around me. I can't control other people's behavior. I can notice and listen to it so I can shift in a way that is positive and helpful for my personal growth and getting my energy back. And one of the telltale signs that I see now, the hindsight 2020, but I was not aware of this so much, other than like it was, kind of annoying, but I didn't realize how, what's the word that I want? Like how planned, how strategic it is for a narcissist or someone with those tendencies to keep a person on edge, interrupt them, fill them with doubt, take away from a routine that is, not centered around the narcissist, centered around some kind of progress, some kind of growth, and some kind of engagement of, it's almost like taking attention away from a child, where there's like this guilt trip, threatening, all that experience. And it's hard when you're in the throes of it. I mean, I'm one to definitely say that. And then on the other side of it, knowing and recognizing, like, this is my energy for the day. And, I have my milk carton example, but like, when I'm starting the day, like completely drained from all these experiences that are going on with the distraction, the confusion, being on edge, like we never know what this like high emotion is going to be, and like what today's fit is going to be about, and like, how I have to listen to the complaining and the whatever, and take charge of someone else's life. That's very, very draining. And I have all that energy back, and it feels like, I'm tired now at the end of the day, but when I think back of all the things that I did and how much engagement I had with my kids, and how I had that experience over and over again about everything in my life supports me, and that just never is going to get old, for me to be noticing that over and over again. And I want to say that emotional piece of when we are on edge. I gave a couple examples of things, and a lot of them boil down to the emotion of doubt. And I looked for it when I was at work earlier on a different emotion code chart. I thought it was on my chart, but it is not, which is, I don't know, Mandela effect, but I'm like holding the proof that it really wasn't there. Anyway, but tracing back to like when we have doubt, okay, so we're going to have like our adrenaline rush, that's kidneys. And the emotions that resonate with kidneys are going to be, so we're going to have a stress response, number one, because our kidneys are getting engaged, and this like, this fear might click on in our head. blaming, the experience, of conflict, a feeling of unsupported. All those things have the same frequency and vibe of our kidneys. And when we're thinking of those things and we're reliving those things and we're engaged in those things, 5 minutes of every half hour, because we get the text message and the call and the interrupting and the question and the this thing and that thing, it's dumping that experience back in our body and it's engaging those kidneys. So they're overworking. And then we're going to be holding on to the toxicity of those negative emotions because now our kidney is overactive. Those hormones are in our system. We have this experience out in our environment, and that's our soup for the day. Those are the ingredients, and that's what it's going to taste like. Frustration, distraction, confusion, being on edge, whatever. Other emotions and organs that would associate with this would be liver and lung. And liver is going to be involved with anger. If we have this anger that shows up, we have our liver that's going to be really active. Resentment, a feeling of taken for granted. I mean, I don't think there's a victim of a narcissist that doesn't have that experience, at least, 3,000 times a day, in my opinion. And that's an honest to God emotion. And that means we have an environmental thing happening. We tap into our memories. Our endocrine system boils up this recipe, dumps these hormones in our system, and we have this emotion of feeling like we're being taken for granted. And that's the same thing with all of the emotions, positive or negative. And so then when we're re-engaging with this, we're, just sort of dipping our body, our soul, our spirit back into that negative experience. And we're kind of like ringing the bell again of that emotion, that organ, and creating a place for that to live in our body. The other one I was going to mention is lung. Lung gets involved in things like crying, rejection, confusion, defensiveness that can be a part of that whole experience. And every minute of that experience is so difficult. And every minute of getting out of that experience is so difficult. And making sure you have a network of people that support you in a positive way, without guilt, without shame, without regret, in an understanding way, with an eye on the prize. Everything in your life should support you. And then we have the complicating factors of, do we own things together? Do we have kids together? How invested financially is one person, reliant on the other? But I feel like that's where we launch into that trusting and that not folding and commit to how things are unfolding, what is showing up for me, what gifts are here. Because when we're in this state of victimhood, or however we want to see that, I feel like there is also this effort of trying to convince this narcissist that their behavior needs to change, that there is a mentality of someone is losing out on the situation, and 100% is a waste of time. It's a total waste of time. They're not going to hear you. They're going to blame you for something. It's going to just turn into a fight about something from 17 years ago that doesn't even have anything to do with what's happening now. Creating that confusion, creating that doubt, creating that distraction, creating that experience of being on edge. It is awful. And the eye on the prize of, I want all this energy back. How much am I choosing to engage, choosing to turn over to that person on the other side? And I have done this with my clients, and I've done this with myself, where I imagine I'm putting the rope down. I'm not playing tug of war. I don't care what you do. I don't care if you come over here and try to tie it around my ankle. I am not picking up that rope. I'm not picking up that rope. Yes, I know the things you want me to do are unfair for me, or this or that. And yep, that feels like it's pretty unfair, but I'm not getting into it. So guess what? I win. We're just going to do it. You're just going to have it this way, and we're just going to go here, and it is what it is. Guess what? I'm going to be in the car for another hour. Guess what? I get to have an hour with my kids, and we're going to sing songs and listen to books and have fun and have those moments together. I get to see them an hour earlier. Putting in that perspective of the investment of that other person and trying to get you to pick up that rope. And it's not based on love. It's not based on anything positive. It's based on these concepts of the betrayal bond. And I don't know where my other book is. I'm kind of losing it, my thought here. The betrayal bond, and I talk about it all the time. I can't remember. Oh, Return to Love, with that Marianne Williamson. And recognizing it's about them controlling you. It's not about love. They might call it that. It's not about love. It is about controlling you. That is not love. Love is an experience that we have when I let go of anything in my life now, it's still standing right next to me. And it's still on my team. And it's still, and if I need something, I say, can you please help with dinner? Yes, I can, Mom. What do we need to do? When we have those experiences, when we aren't the only force that is keeping this person or the job or the money experience or whatever it is, I treat all chronic pain exactly the same, because it's all tied to our thoughts, our behaviors, our routines, our expectations, the environment that we keep. And when we recognize I'm the only one holding on, of course this is difficult. If I were to let this go, I had both hands on this, probably, my legs wrapped around it too, trying to drag this thing into my life or keep this in my life or, invest my life in this other thing. There's no our life. Those are all signs that it is not love. If there is betrayal, it's not love. If love turns off at 8 p.m. and turns back on at 10 p.m., that's not love. That is manipulation and really poor choices. And it's something that, if love turns on when we're receiving gifts, if love turns on when, that narcissist wants to, what's it called? Not gift, love bomb, here's some new tires for your truck. I'm so great. Why are you buying me these? Oh yeah, do you remember why you're buying me these? Because of this other thing. No, it's because of love. It's not. It's not because of love. And I think that's one thing that it really helps me to come back to these things and these thoughts of what I learned about narcissists, what I learned about betrayal bond, what I feel like I can read and reread the Return to Love by Marianne Williamson over and over and over again. It's everything that I wanted to get out of A Course in Miracles, but it was this way, not over my head. I loved the first like page, and then I was like, I'm not reading any more of this. And she read the whole thing, and it changed her life, and she passed on her experiences, and that's exactly what I wanted. That's exactly what I needed. Her version of it, her experiences, her examples, and the way that she incorporated it into her life, and how it helped things grow and change and be different, because she started doing things different, thinking differently, changing her patterns, changing the people that she spent time with, and also listening to some great things on YouTube. There's a guy who's like maybe a psychotherapist, so I don't know, something like that, and he plays the role of like wife and himself, and he is, I don't know, I would say he's not my favorite, but he brings up some really good points. I can find the names of them. There's an older gentleman that he talks a lot about, like, 5 tips for dealing with narcissists, and does a lot with short videos. I should put some links in the description here. I'll make a note to do that. And then there's that female psychologist. I don't know the difference between a sociologist, a psychologist, and there's another one. But she's one of them. She writes books. She's like gives her opinion about things all the time. We saw her on a History Channel thing not too long ago. And she talks a lot. She does a lot on YouTube about narcissism, and I'll include her in that list as well. And it's just so helpful to me. I love understanding all the parts of everything. And it's so helpful for me to even have the kick in the butt with my therapist when she said, their brain does not work like your brain. And she had to say that over and over and over again. And she would say, that's your thinking, Sarah. That is not their thinking, Sarah. Their thinking is, how does this benefit me? How am I a victim? What do I deserve? How can I punish her? The chemical exchange is completely different. The way that the brain has developed is not the same in any way of my brain. And it took a long time for me to hear that. And then I heard it, and then I understood it a little bit more. And now I take that into my experiences moving forward, of recognizing, of course, all of our brains don't work well. Some of us learn by using our hands. Some of us need lots of detail. Some of us need X, Y, or Z. And we'll all have our own experiences coming up into our moment. And what we take out of them creates wisdom. And whether that wisdom is correct, I'm going to say quote unquote correct, we can believe that all dogs are, violent and a nightmare. And, because we had that one bad experience, or we had 10 bad experiences, but that's our wisdom. That's what we choose to know. And we only know what we know. And until we add what we don't know to the mix, we're only going to know what we know. We have to expand that thinking. We have to unfold into receiving something bigger, a bigger message, a bigger picture, a bigger understanding of what that stress is, what's the anxiety, what's the doubt, what's the control factor, what's the whatever. And so I feel like that all boils down to not just unfolding, and enjoying that sense of relief, but also unfolding so that we can receive more. When we're closed, stuff can fit in between my fingertips here. And as we unfold, more can be received. And then as we unfold even more can be received. You can't even see my hands because I'm so tall. So here I have, 6 feet of surface area, plus maybe some more, I don't know, to receive. And that's much different than when I'm feeling like I'm in that tight bud, like that anise nin. And there's going to be some day It has to come from inside of you. It's not going to come from the outside environment. There needs to be some day where it's just too uncomfortable to stay in that bud and not bloom. It's not going to come from our outside environment. It has to come from inside of, it has to come inside from me, it has to come inside from you. And we're just going to give a round of applause for all that has unfolded for our friend over here on Instagram. I love how interactive you are, and I love that you are going to reach out to me and talk to me more about what's going on. And I'm going to email you that link for those down. I'm just going to email you those downloads, and I'm also going to email you a link for getting some time on my schedule. And I feel like now that I say that, I feel like we tried to do that before, and it was very difficult, which also makes me feel like it is a message that there's resistance. It's outside your comfort zone, and it's going to make life different. So when those things show up, they are signs that, this resistance or, the things that aren't coming together, there's a reason for that. It's outside my comfort zone. And I mean, sometimes they just are not helpful, but you're still here. You're still called to all of this. And I feel like it really resonates with the things that I'm talking about, especially today. You've been so active. It's wonderful. But we'll talk more outside of this. And I think it's time to wrap it up because this is a long one. And I'm going to thank everyone over here. And I'm going to thank everyone over here. And I'm going to get going and get into dinner and on with the rest of my night. So thank you all so much for all this precious time that has been invested. And I hope this message helps with the personal growth and just finding hope. That's just so huge. Okay. All right. I'm going to sign off. Thank you so much. I will see you again real soon.